Welcome to the Sip and Feast podcast episode. We are not telling you episodes anymore because, we're filming 2 today. Maybe the second one we want to come out before the first one. It depends on the type of mood that we're in. And this is a really good one. This is one that a lot of people have been asking for, right? A lot of the comments were probably over since we started the channel were always regarding, how do I know what type of olive oil to use? What should I buy? What brands are good?
That's right. So this is the olive oil episode.
It is the olive oil and extra virgin olive oil episode.
And like you said, we have gotten a lot of people asking us to talk about or clarify which olive oils to use when, which are some of the brands that we use personally. And we're doing this podcast in response to the olive oil taste test episode that we already filmed, that we were a little bit surprised by how difficult it was to conduct an olive oil taste test, especially when we compare it to previous taste test episodes, the marinara sauce, the frozen pizza. I mean, those were all fairly easy, I would say. The olive oil taste test was certainly the most challenging to date.
The olive oil taste test was, and that's why we haven't that's why I haven't edited it in 6 weeks. We've had it for 6 weeks.
That's right. It's been sitting and stewing, and we're like, you know what? We feel like we need to hash this out a little bit more. Let's talk about it. Let's put it in a podcast and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I think it's really good. I almost feel like if we didn't do this episode, I would almost want to reshoot that footage. And I hate when we do that, when we have to reshoot, because just so you know, guys, like as far as like production and making this stuff, making a podcast like this is magnitudes easier than creating a cooking video for the cooking videos we make, because our cooking videos are hosted cooking videos. They're not scripted cooking videos. And I'm not saying scripted videos aren't hard either, but when you're scripting a video, you have a shot list and you know every shot you're going to get. When you're doing a hosted style cooking video, there's issues, something happens. My delivery wasn't good. I have to start over again. Every time I go over the ingredients, that monologue, that's rather tough to do, and I've improved with it, but that's something that can be screwed up. And just overall, like I'm not writing a script for be funny at this moment. I'm just hoping that I come off as not really rude looking or boring.
That's a big gamble that you're taking.
I think it's a huge gamble, and because, like Tara's implying now, the majority of the time she's saying I am not nice and good and charismatic and all those other.
No, I'm not saying that. I think you're very funny.
That came off as extremely forced.
Hey, you keep me laughing, so
I try.
We're all good.
She's like, I laugh at you.
I was just saying that to be my typical sarcastic self that I usually am. I rip on you all day long, right?
Yeah, no, you do,
and you love it.
I do. I mean, that would be bad. I mean, if we were serious with each other. But yeah, we've been doing those for a while, and they do cause more stress, I say, than these podcast episodes. And this is one of the first episodes. Still, if you guys have been watching, this is probably episode 4 or 5, and when we get to episode 30 or episode 300, we will be so much smoother. We will have beautiful chairs in the background. It will be colorful and it'll be laid back, and we'll have guests. It'll be all those things that took so long to get to with the actual cooking videos.
That's right.
So it's like that whole dynamic of the host, the guest, if you have one, all that, where you are, the setting. Those things all take time, right? You told me today Rome wasn't built in a day, as I was trying to get 2 hair lights put up here.
That's right. Somebody had commented or suggested that we set up hair lights, right? Because there wasn't enough separation in color.
Separation.
Is that right?
Separate. Basically what they're saying is, from a videography perspective, when you have dark and you have dark wall, like dark hair, everything blends together. So you want to separate the hair. So now there's a light pointing at your hair, and there's a light here pointing at my head.
That's right.
Now it's hitting me kind of like the side of my face here, but I mean, that's like, this isn't a professional Hollywood set or anything, but
No.
we always want to try to improve things when we can for you guys.
That's right. Somebody had commented that it looked like you were interrogating me, like under a hot light, like it was an interrogation
exactly.
room in a police department.
That's exactly what it looked like. And that that just reminds me of, and by the way, that is the way you would shoot an interrogation scene. You would always have it, you'd have it like in a dark and dingy room with like brick walls or kind of like that. and you would put the light above. And, in the old days, you would use these tungsten lights that are super hot. They make you sweat no matter what. And you put that over, you're an hour into, like you're on take 50. So the guy or girl is being interrogated is fully sweating. And that actually brings back like this scene from, can you guess what show I'm even thinking of?
Yeah.
What?
Seinfeld, right?
What? Yeah. I mean, explain to people if they've never seen that episode. It's one of the funniest episodes.
So let me reach back into my archives in my memory and see if I can pull something out. So it was Newman trying to interrogate Jerry about something. I can't remember what. And instead of Newman putting the hot light on Jerry, he pointed it on himself. And he was asking these questions and sweating profusely. And Jerry was sitting there nice and cool, drinking a Coca-Cola or something like that. But it was just, one of those classic Seinfeld scenes.
That's one of the best scenes.
That stick in your mind.
Yeah, I don't even know what it was about either. Anyway, I digress. The light is above us, and we're going to get into the olive oil discussion right now.
Let's back it up and let's maybe talk about or explain the difference between extra virgin olive oil and regular olive oil. Okay.
Can you do it, or would you like me to do it?
So if you want to do it, go for it. I mean,
okay.
I have the textbook definition.
Yeah, you got the textbook. So
here.
Good. And that's good. We bring the textbook definition. But basically, it's the olive, it's the first press. That's extra virgin. One shot, right?
Well, it's also cold press.
Cold pressed,
right?
and only one press.
Yes. So it's also unrefined. So it's not heated. It's cold pressed, right? That's like the textbook definition.
Yes.
Regular olive oil is heated to extract the oil. So what does that do? It causes a difference in the makeup of the olive oil. So what one is better for heating and cooking with, and the other doesn't have as good smoke point or heat.
Yeah, well, you don't normally, typically you wouldn't cook with extra virgin, though you can. And I would really determine that based off of the price. So if you're buying a very expensive, peppery extra virgin, I probably wouldn't cook with it. That's why you guys will often see me always finish with one particular extra virgin olive oil, because that's not really a cooking oil. Though I will say, Mario Batali in his old videos, would always cook with that brand. And I believe other chefs would too. So I personally, and I think part of that was like the show was being sponsored by that oil, or there's like a huge display of it in Italy. And that's the oil I'm talking about is Frantoia Barbera. But to me, I wouldn't cook with that. It's just a little too strong. But that's just one example. Other extra virgins that are much more on the lighter side, I would cook with. And it depends what you're doing. If you wouldn't use any olive oil to heat up on high in a pan, because olive oil in general is just not a good oil to get smoking hot. It has a low smoke point. Smoke point of olive oil is, I believe, 340 degrees? We'll have to look it up.
It says, according to experts, a high-quality extra virgin olive oil has a smoke point of around 410 degrees.
Oh, 410. Okay.
That's for extra virgin. Yeah, it says it can be heated as high as 400.
Yeah, okay. And listen, I just want to tell you guys, I've heated extra virgin olive oil often, and I never have a problem with it. I just, normally it's about a price thing, because we use so much olive oil. I mean, we use a ton of olive oil between all the cooking, that I love to have the less expensive olive oils, regular olive oils. And then I like to have extra virgin, but I actually have three types. We have regular olive oil, not light. I just use regular olive oil. And then I will have an extra virgin for cooking. which is often Partana brand. That's the one I use.
Yes.
And then I will use the Frantoia Barbera for finishing. Though Frantoia Barbera and Partana are both very peppery. They're both Sicilian oils. They're both strong. I do think the Frantoia is a little stronger. Do you agree with that, Tara?
I do. When would you use an extra virgin olive oil for cooking?
So if I was just like, say I'm sauteing onions and I'm never going to get the pan very hot. Because normally when you're sauteing onions, when you're starting a sauce or whatnot, you're normally at about medium low. You're at about a 4 out of 10 on.
Yeah.
If you kick the heat up above medium with onions, you're going to start browning them and put color on them. And for most Italian dishes, you don't want any color on those onions. Once you start putting color on the onions, you're getting almost like kind of like the flavor you get like in a Mexican restaurant, like when fajitas are coming out with the onions.
Right.
Just
Totally
completely different.
Yeah. When I think about growing up and kind of what my perception of olive oil was, a certain olive oil brand comes to mind. And I think you've mentioned the same thing. Which olive oil brand is that?
Definitely Filippo Barrio. And that was the olive oil that my grandmother and my mother to this day uses. My mother doesn't buy any other oil except for Filippo Barrio. And she really doesn't buy a lot of extra virgin. She just uses the yellow can, the gold can.
That's right.
The gold can is Filippo Barrio. And then their green can, it has green in it. That's the extra virgin.
Yeah. It's funny. When I think of olive oil in my head, like that's kind of the brand that I envision.
It's funny. Like if I think of brands that built New York in the Italian American community, Filippo Barrio would 100% be one. Palio. I know Palio's owned by Kraft now or Belgioso or something like that. But Palio forever wasn't owned by another company. Boar's Head. I'm trying.
Ronzoni.
Ronzoni too. Yeah, Ronzoni.
Do you know my mom grew up in Jackson Heights, Queens, but before she lived in Jackson Heights, she lived in Astoria for a short period of time, and she lived in the building with the person who owned Ronzoni.
No kidding. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ronzoni's a uniquely American pasta brand, and so many people use that pasta.
The Passina.
Yeah.
Especially.
Yeah. Yeah, because Ronzoni was like on the less expensive side than, like, my grandmother didn't use DiCecco.
Yeah.
She didn't use DiCecco at all. Nobody used DiCecco back then.
I don't remember.
Nobody did.
I remember it just being like Ronzoni or Barilla, or there was another brand that's escaping me.
I'm trying to think too, but yeah, DiCecco was a premium brand. You know, Frank Sinatra wanted to buy DiCecco. He offered to buy DiCecco for $1 million, I guess in the 60s or maybe it was the 50s, and they refused.
Huh.
That's 100% online.
Wow.
Actually, can you just fact check me to make sure? Because I'm probably, you know what? Then people are gonna be like, Jim, you're talking out of your butt. You know.
Let's see. There's an article in Italian.
Well, maybe I'm not right about it.
Well, no, wait,
I'm pretty sure he offered to buy DiCecco.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, there you go.
You're right.
Yeah, and I don't want to go off into a tangent with pastas now, but if you do think about brands that are like kind of built that New York area, and I didn't go into tomatoes. I would say tomatoes, it would have to be Progresso. It would have to be.
Yeah, or Hunt's too.
Hunt's, Tutoroso, those are like brands that have been around for a very long time.
So, backing up to your statement about Frank Sinatra, he loved DiCecco's pasta so much that in the 1960s he offered to buy the company for $1 million, and the company countered him with an offer of $7 million, and which he balked at. Yep,
there you go. There you go. So it wouldn't be DiCecco anymore; it'd be Sinatra.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah, but DiCecco is a good pasta. It's probably the best value pasta by far because you're getting the bronze extruded, but you're not paying the ridiculous prices that a lot of brands pay. Because we'll often get in the comments, have you tried this brand? Have you tried that brand? Have you tried whatever brand? And guys, I'm not going to mention names here, but a lot of the brands you're telling me about, they're made by DiCecco. You could even look on the bags and it says made by DiCecco in the DiCecco factory. because not a lot of, it's like Kirkland with Costco. They're not making tomatoes. They're not making, they're not roasting beans for coffee. It's another brand is behind it.
That's right.
So if you want to enter the pasta space quickly, you got to contract one of the biggest pasta makers in the world, which would be DiCecco, Barilla. There's a couple other brands that could do it. Mm-hmm. And just look on your bags. You'll see DiCecco. What else were we going to talk about with this episode? About like really the purpose of the olive oil, like what you use it for?
Yeah, so there's a lot of uses, I think, for olive oil. Salad dressing. We talked about, cooking with it, finishing. There are certainly some unconventional uses for olive oil that I think we could talk about in a little bit. But as far as olive oil that you'd use for salad dressing, cooking, and finishing, do you have a preference?
No, and it matters really what you're looking for. It's really interesting just to look at recipes today versus you can grab old recipe books. So you can grab a book from any famous person from 40 years ago, like use Marcella Hazan's books, okay? And look at the brands she's using and look at like the techniques, and things are not forever. Things change. Like the whole idea of having stores with 100 different brands of extra virgin olive oil was unheard of when I was young.
That's a good point. You actually are making me think. My grandmother, who I spoke about in a previous episode, she was 100% Sicilian. She passed away when I was 7 years old. But one of my vivid memories of her is her salad. She made a really delicious salad, dressing specifically. And my mom told me that she didn't even use olive oil for the salad. It was vegetable oil.
Yep.
And I think it was either Progresso or Regina red wine vinegar that she would use. But she wasn't using extra virgin olive oil for her salad.
Yeah,
and it was still.
Let me tell you, I don't think my grandmother.
So good.
I think my grandmother was probably using vegetable oil as well. These are not unique things that they both did it the same way. That's what everybody did then.
That's right.
Part of it, I guess, was money, but it was also availability.
That's right.
So many, you could go off a tangent on everything. I mean, prosciutto di Parma wasn't even allowed in America for 20 years or 30 years. It had an embargo because of mad cow. So nobody even.
But prosciutto was from a pig.
Maybe swine then, swine flu or something. See, there you go. I'm talking out of my butt again. I'm 100% sure, though, that it wasn't allowed in America for a long time. There was an embargo on it because of a food-borne illness in the meat.
Was it trichinosis?
Trichinosis.
Because I know that's something that's food-borne with pork.
You know what? I'm not positive what it is, but all I will definitely tell you, because I saw articles about it, it wasn't a thing. And then it finally got into America, and then it still took a long time for the uptake of it. A lot of the uptake, again, came from Mario Batali, always talking about it in every episode. Remember those old episodes that he had where he was like, and guys, we're going to do a whole episode on the Food Network, when the Food Network was good. And I'm not saying Mario Batali should be like, I'm just talking about his food. He was representative more of that period of time. And when we do the Food Network episode, we'll talk about why it was not a little bit better, but 1 billion times better than the crap that it puts out today. I mean, it is just, we don't watch it at all.
No.
At all.
There were a few things that I watched on the Food Network more recently, but you're right. It's not what it used to be.
Yeah, and get rid of Mario. Like talk about Emerald or whoever was on back then, or the original Iron Chef. That was amazing.
That was one of like our favorite shows.
Yeah,
that was so good.
But that'll be another episode. It's back to the olive oil, and what were we talking about right before that part?
We were talking about uses for it. And
so the uses and all that. Like I know that doesn't surprise me that your grandmother did that. I think my grandmother did it too. And I'll tell you what, you could go into a really good churrasco place, go into a Spanish place. Like I'm almost positive these places we go into, when they serve the salad, it does not have olive oil on it. I'm not gonna be like, you're using vegetable oil here. And and vegetable oil has such a negative connotation now. We
Yeah.
get it in the
We get it
comments
all the time.
all the time. If I even tell people they can fry a cutlet in vegetable oil, there's a certain contingent of people that tell me that it has all these horrible things in it, and it's been proven by, Mercola or medical medium and all these people. They're like, it's just like, and they like copy and paste like a whole bunch of like health claims and all that. And I'm like, wrong channel. Like, this is like, what are you doing? What are you even doing here? Coming in the comments. So that has infected the population. So everybody wants to use olive oil for everything now. Like, you can't even use a little bit of vegetable oil, though I still have vegetable oil in the pantry.
You do. We also have avocado oil.
Well, avocado oil is not this. That's considered like a good oil.
That's also, I think avocado oil has a high smoke point, so it's good for, and coconut oil too. But
I'm not going to fry cutlets in vegetable oil. I mean, or in coconut oil or avocado oil.
Coconut oil has a strong flavor, so it depends on what you're cooking. I think if you're cooking, in maybe Southeast Asian cuisine, coconut oil is really good.
Yeah, and guys, we cook everything. We do everything in our house. Tara, do you remember when I was on a Thai curry conquest in what was that, the year 2002? How much?
Yeah.
What was I doing at that point in time?
You were ordering kaffir lime leaves and all sorts of different
all this stuff you couldn't get in regular stores back then.
Yeah,
I was getting it all from like eBay, I think.
You were.
And little did I know, every Thai restaurant everywhere, even in Thailand, they're using those cans of paste that are made by that one company. Do you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're like the yellow can, the green can, the Masaman. So anyway, that wasn't good enough for me because, and we talked about this, I think in the previous episode, was how we get a lot of comments from younger men who are predominantly coming from Reddit telling us how we didn't do things absolutely 100% perfect, and that you didn't get a perfect browning on the meat. You didn't get a perfect sear on the shrimp. The dish is ruined. Those people were me back then.
That's right. You were a bit like that. As your dad would say, you were a bit of a dilettante.
I was. Like, I couldn't smoke meat unless I did it to the competition standards of like the winner every year in the Texas barbecue. Like, it had to be, I had to make it just as good as them.
That's right.
I was obsessive.
You still are a bit like that.
But I don't portray that in the videos.
No. And I don't think you portray that to the extent that you used to. Now I think it's more you're obsessive about other things, like setting up a podcast in a matter of 2 weeks. I mean, you'd have to be crazy to do that.
Well, I mean, with the way we did it, with the 3 cameras and all that. I mean,
so you are a little bit obsessive.
Don't let that deter you. If you want to do a podcast, all you need is a microphone and audio editing software. You don't need anything else. You don't have to do video. You don't have to do anything like that.
That's right.
Go follow your dreams.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you had to you just had to pick up Sammy.
I did.
Yeah. From where? School?
So she had her living environment, which is what biology used to be called, her living environment regents. So I just had to pick her up from school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. First of all, it's impossible to help your kids now with this type of work, unless you're a biologist or like her math regents. I can't do that stuff anymore.
The math is beyond my level of math comprehension, but her biology, I still remember, I think a decent amount from when we took it.
I think pretty much about 6th grade was when I couldn't really help too much anymore.
Yeah, I'd say about that.
Or I said I couldn't help, but it's, I mean, honestly, you're helping your kids more by not helping them. It's better off letting them do it. My parents didn't help me. I don't think they helped me really past 3rd grade. Stuff's difficult.
Yeah, I agree. I don't remember getting much help from them.
That sequential regents stuff is just, I mean, I have like nightmares when Sammy shows me that homework now. I'm like,
I don't know how she does it. I mean, I think it's harder now because I don't think what she's learning in her grade, ninth grade, is not what I was learning in ninth grade. So
I don't know.
Very different.
I mean, I took some math in college. I took symbolic logic.
Oh, that's what I took.
I did well on that. That was easy.
That's like, I took that because I don't do well in other types of math and symbolic.
Did you take statistics too?
I had to take statistics as part of my major. I think I went to Stony Brook. So I think one of their requirements was no matter what major you were taking, you had to take statistics in that class. So I majored in political science. I had to take statistics of political science.
I did take statistics. I forget which one it was. But when I entered college, I was all set to be a computer science major. So I took calculus and I failed. And that my dream of being having a computer science degree and using that was gone. But nobody needs to worry about that anymore anyway now because of ChatGPT taking over the planet.
Yeah. And lucky for you, you were very much using that anthropology degree that you got.
That was what
Yes.
So I went from a computer science major to anthropology, and then I had no idea what I was going to do. So I said I was going to go to law school. I think we spoke about this.
We did.
Yeah, we did. All right. So anyway.
Let's get back to olive oil, Jim.
Sorry for the transitioning away. Schoolwork is hard. Don't help your kids. All right, let's go on.
Get a tutor if you can. So we talked about the olive oil taste test being really difficult. We had a few surprises there. Don't really want to give anything away because we do want you to watch the olive oil taste test video. But did the results of the olive oil taste test impact your love of Frantoia di Barbera olive oil as your go-to?
It absolutely didn't. It didn't change my go-to because you're not having all those olive oils we tried, all those extra virgin olive oils we tried, we were having them by themselves. Mm-hmm. That's extremely difficult proposition to get a good, accurate taste test with this. And I know I went into this in the, I believe it was another episode. What were we talking about? The sauce, or the wine tasting. I said how the sommeliers failed in actual peer-reviewed studies. Mm-hmm. So it's not going to change my use of Frantoia as my finishing oil of choice. I absolutely love it when it hits the food, the hot food, when I serve it. So say like we're doing pasta and peas. So just regular pasta piselli and the white one. Okay, just the Bianco, like no sauce. But everybody loved the tomato sauce one too. And really, this could apply to either one. You could do it. When you're done, when it comes out of the pot, and then you just take that beautiful drizzle of the extra virgin olive oil, when it hits the peas and the pasta, it's magic. Now, and then a little bit of the grated pecorino on there. Maybe a little bit of hot red pepper flakes.
That's also good for the lentil soup. That was your preferred way to eat lentil soup.
And it's good for a gazillion recipes. Yeah. It's great. But now that olive oil, that extra virgin, when that hits the pasta and peas, its magic is created there. The magic isn't created. If I was to eat the pasta and peas and then wait 5 minutes and then take a swig of the Frantoia, it wouldn't be the same. It's the combination of them when they touch each other. So basically that little bit of heat from the pasta and peas, and you get the drizzle on there. This is why I do it. And I didn't create finishing oil like this.
Right.
Chefs do this all the time. That's how I learned how to do it, guys, because we'll get so many questions. Why are you doing that to the dish? What are you doing? I'm doing it because it's amazing. Mm-hmm. And I learned it from people that knew more than I did.
Yeah. Yeah. I love finishing dishes with a nice olive oil, like the Frantoia and some of the others, and the Partana I like too. It, like you said, it does create sort of a magical type of experience and flavor.
So that's why I think I'm going to keep using it.
I think we should.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Jim, there are some unconventional uses for olive oil, and we actually filmed a video.
Yeah. It's another video that's not out yet.
That's right.
Because the
That's
original
right.
plan was to do the taste test, put that video out, and then it was to put out the 2 unconventional ways. But now this video is going to come out before the other 2. So it's really going to be a 3-part extra virgin olive oil series.
That's right. So we hope we hope you like olive oil.
We hope you watch it because we just spent a lot of time talking about olive oil and
did.
buying olive oil. How much money did we spend for the taste test? How much did all that olive oil cost?
It was
A lot.
certainly close to $200, maybe. What I did when I was shopping for the olive oil was I tried to get everything from one store. I went to Uncle Giuseppe's. I got it all there because I was trying to make sure the pricing was fair.
Okay, so I thought, and I said this in the video, some of those prices were completely out of whack. Guys, just so you know, I'm not promoting Uncle Giuseppe's. Honestly, I don't even want you to shop there. That's how I feel about the place. They rip off you on a lot of things. Some things are good, but in the end, we do it for convenience. But I do not recommend buying your extra virgin olive oil there unless they have a loss leader. They'll often have a display, and many times this will be Filippo Barrio, where it'll be $10 for a 3-liter can of it. Sometimes the extra virgin will only be like $15. But we go there to buy a lot of ingredients in one shot so we can make our videos.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of the ingredients that we need to get, we simply can't get from a regular grocery store.
And
That's why we shop there.
Think of Uncle Giuseppe's as Italy, the same exact store, guys. Italy is in Manhattan. There's one, and I think there's one in Vegas, right? And there might be another 1 or 2. That's an operation that actually Mario Batali used to be a part of, and then they booted his butt out of that too. They divested him of that. He used to be involved with Lydia, that restaurant group. He's gone completely. I mean, and I'm just saying that again just because we were talking about him early on in the video.
That's right.
But it's the same exact, Uncle Giuseppe's is the same exact store, like footprint, everything that Italy is. It's just that Uncle Giuseppe's is in Long Island. I believe there's maybe 1 location in New Jersey and 1 in Connecticut. It's a small company. It's like they got like 12 supermarkets.
Yeah.
But I'm not promoting them at all. I wish I could tell you guys other places to go to because their basil and a lot of the stuff that Tara buys is absolutely pathetic.
Their produce, oftentimes there is issues. I don't know if it's supply chain related, but I don't.
That basil says
so.
Packaged in Brazil.
Yeah.
That's what that basil says. It's a joke that an Italian specialty store is selling basil like that.
I agree. And it's frustrating for me as the main shopper for Sip and Feast that I often have to go to 3 or 4 grocery stores to find, that's the thing. I mean, we're also not promoting Whole Foods, but
we're not promoting any of these companies, guys.
Times,
we tell you the names of them to help you find stuff.
A lot of times we're asked, why do you shop? Why do you get stuff from Whole Foods? It's so overpriced. Well, to be honest, a lot of their produce isn't overpriced. It's their other items that might be, and their produce is far superior to some of the other grocery stores. So it's one thing if you're cooking it for your family. It's quite a different beast when you are picking out produce that you're planning to photograph and show on video. It has to be perfect. There can't be any spots on it. It has to look a certain way.
That's always a problem. So we always have to buy the food the day of the filming or the day before at the earliest. We can't have food, which, a normal family you buy your food, go food shopping once a week, and then, you wouldn't care if it wasn't perfect.
Because there's only so much magic you can work with editing.
Yeah, and I mean, now that you have Midjourney and, separate tangent, I mentioned ChatGPT before, but Midjourney is the art creation one, and you can create any photo, and you're going to see a lot of people who aren't cooks or know anything about cooking. You're going to see them entering the food blog, the recipe site niche, because they can create any image they want now, a better picture than I can do with my cameras. And I've been photoing stuff for years.
Yeah, it's a little scary.
Yeah, it's extremely scary. I mean, it's scary for our job as our industry in general, but it's affecting every industry.
That's right. It's affecting all humans.
I actually just bought a membership to Midjourney today so I can try to learn how to do it, because we just shot 4 drinks last night, right?
That's right.
So we shot 4 spritzes for summer, basically. Well, we also did a Negroni.
We reshot the Negroni photo, right? Our Negroni recipe on the website, which is essentially the same as any other Negroni recipe. The pictures were not the best because it was one of our first recipes that was put up on Sip and Feast. So we wanted to reshoot those pictures to make them a little bit better.
Bring them up to the site standard.
Exactly. And we also did a paper plane cocktail, which again, not our recipe, which we will give credit to the creator of that recipe.
Yeah, I don't know it offhand.
That's right. We also did an Americano, and we did a Lillet Spritz, which we did kind of put our own twist on that one.
3 of those are Italian, and one of them is like a French, right?
Well, the
Lillet Blanc
Lillet
is
Blanc,
a French wine.
It is. It's we are putting an Italian twist on it because we're adding Prosecco.
Yeah.
To the Spritz.
So anyway, digressing there, or going on a tangent, which I know you guys like the tangents, but it's a big fear with content creators in general. What's going to happen with the ChatGPT and the Midjourney? Mm-hmm. Also, just even me, you say, well, Jim, you're on video making videos. They can't duplicate you. They're 100% going to be able to duplicate me. There's tech already that I can be looking down right now, and it all needs is one image of my face, and then it can make me look at the camera, even though I'm reading text down. I mean, it's scary. What's going to happen?
It is scary.
So they can just as easily just make a new video of me cooking when I'm not even doing it.
That's right.
And then you go, Jim, well, why don't? That's great. Then you don't have to do it anymore. Well, guess what? Everybody's going to be in the same boat. So the signal to noise ratio is going to be massive. Mm-hmm. It's going to be insane. They said that everything that's been on the internet up until this point is going to be doubled every few months now with the use of these AI things. So the signal to noise is the best descriptor of it. You're going to just have so much crap and garbage on the internet. You're not even going to know what's real, what's good, what's worth looking at. Keep looking at Sip and Feast, though.
We're humans. Not to keep talking about Frantoia di Barbera, but I do have...
Who doesn't sponsor us in any way.
Does not sponsor us. But I do have a question, and it's something that a lot of our viewers have commented on, and it's the fact that Frantoia and others are bottled in a clear bottle.
Yeah.
And my understanding, based on just, very high level research I've done on it, I'm, again, not an expert olive oil eater or taster or maker or anything, is that a clear bottle can, cause the olive oil to heat up under the heat of the sun or any other sort of heat sources, and can change the makeup of the olive oil and can give it a rancid flavor. So my question for you, in all your years of using Frantoia, which is in a clear bottle, have you ever experienced a rancid flavor or have had a negative experience? And do you think that there is truth to the clear versus dark bottle?
Honestly, I don't. I'm just telling you my experience, and I probably have gone through, I don't know, an insane amount of olive oil. I've never had a rancid olive oil, regular, extra virgin, anything in my life. Mm-hmm. Never.
And you don't go out of... I don't think we go out of our way to store it.
No, I don't put it in a dark
cabinet. It sits out on our counter.
But I don't put it in the window either. Like it's not getting direct sunlight.
Right.
We don't have a lot of light in our kitchen at all because we're filming, and we have to use video lights.
That's true.
Because natural light changes and you can't film with it unless you have more people on set, which we don't have. It's just the two of us. So no, I've never had an issue with oil, ever. And look, I think Frantoia, who makes some of the best olive oil on the planet, I would think if there was a problem with it, I don't think they'd be selling their premium product in a glass bottle. Doesn't it? I mean, I'm trying to use a little bit of deductive reasoning here. If it's that bad, why would they be selling it in a glass bottle?
Yeah.
They do sell now that's their liter. The 1 liter they sell comes in a glass bottle. They actually have a smaller bottle than that. Mm-hmm. Guys, don't buy anything smaller than a liter either. It gets very cost prohibitive. You're spending so much more per ounce of olive oil. Then they also sell a 3-liter. Now I have that linked in the shop. That's the deal, and that will go anywhere from on Amazon. It'll go anywhere from about $45 to about $60 for the 3-liter can. That's the deal.
That is, and then you would just pour that into something else to dispense.
I just keep the liter bottle, but if I really want to be careful, I can just have a completely solid,
like a
bottle.
Solid.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But I never had a problem with it, and I like to keep the bottle because for branding. Why am I doing branding for Frantoia? That's another question. Like, so guys, all the thing when you see, if you look at our website, especially early on, you will see Cento, you will see Frantoia, you'll see DiCecco, Sclafani, blah, 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 another 900 names. I would always do this to try to show you guys when I was starting what are good brands to use. But I never got to the point where I was like, oh, I'm giving them free advertising. Let me put black, gaffer's tape on top of it or duct tape, whatever, to block their name. A lot of creators do this, guys. There's a guy I watch. He's a woodworker. His name is Jimmy DeResta from Long Island, near where I grew up. I think he grew up in East Meadow. I'm probably wrong, but it's definitely in Long Island. He has black tape on all of his Makita tools because he was trying to get a deal with Makita, and Makita said no. So he got mad and he taped he kept using Makita tools, but he put black tape on every label of their thing. Now, I think it would be kind of ridiculous if I did that to all the tomatoes, but I am telling you, I am showing brands less now. I just am because, and especially this one company we dealt with, I got a really bad taste in my mouth after, what I'm talking about, after dealing with them. I'm no more being nice to these companies or whatnot, because listen, guys, they're trying to do well. They're trying to make a profit. So are we. And it's just, I'm trying to do what's best for you. That's it. I'm not telling you though, go get Frantoia because they're paying me money. They're not.
Yeah.
I just think their olive oil is good.
Yeah. If we ever do work with a sponsor, we're required to disclose it. But yeah, Frantoia is definitely not a sponsor.
We're required to disclose.
We wish they'd be.
Yeah. This is a different discussion. We wish we actually had brands in our niche for sponsors. Right. But the problem is the way the YouTube system works, you have all these companies. They're all the same company, guys, even though they're not. But they're all run by a prototypical graduate from Harvard or Princeton, Stanford, whatever. And they have an idea of, let's use a bunch of YouTubers, let's pay them money, and they'll do a 60-second spot for us, and we'll be able to get our name out and push our product. Unfortunately, no Italian food companies do that.
Right.
It's other companies. Yeah. And if you watch some other YouTubers more so than us, you will notice they have one of those companies in every single one of their videos, right. Which, I think gets a little tiresome after a while. So we've kind of backed away from doing them. But maybe it's not the best business decision, but we're trying to be
more selective, I think, with who we do a sponsored read for. So Jim, before we get into some of the viewer submitted questions, let's just quickly talk about some of those unconventional uses for olive oil, things that you might not think of, because obviously the things you think of are, dipping bread, you think of finishing, salad dressings, cooking with, but we have two unique uses for olive oil that I happen to love. One of them is the orange olive oil cake.
That's right. It's on the website.
That we have on the website.
Delicious.
Which has a strong olive oil flavor.
It's an oil cake.
It is. It's moist and delicious.
It's always moist.
Yeah.
It's just a fancy version of the old vegetable oil cake where you buy a box cake mix and they say dump vegetable oil in it.
But it's olive oil, so you feel like you're getting some health benefits there.
I guess. It is a lot of olive oil.
It is. So it is a rather expensive cake if you're using a better olive oil for that. So the other recipe, do you want to talk more about the olive oil cake? Yeah,
we can talk a little bit more about the olive oil cake. By the way, Tara, I just want to say, I really like this. This is a lot more, it's more intimate. I think it's better. I think when we were across the other sides of the table, we're family. If we ever have somebody on here, they should be on the other side of the table.
Yeah, no,
that
I
would be
like
weird
this.
if we had a guest and they were like right here.
Yeah,
If we have a guest, we're going to put them right between us like this.
That's really weird. This feels a little more natural for me. But what are your thoughts on the olive oil cake? I mean, I think it's a great cake to serve for company.
Get the plastic off the couches. Company is coming over.
It's a good company cake. And it's really easy to make. And it's when we made it for the video, we put a glaze on it, a blood orange glaze, which made it beautiful.
Speaking
The
of
color.
speaking of company, Tara, sorry for interrupting you. And I was talking about like New York brands and stuff. I forgot about Entenmann's. I mean, I don't know how I forgot about that.
Entenmann's is the ultimate company.
And the only
cake.
reason it came to mind is because we just said the word company.
Yeah.
And when you think of company, that's all you think
You're
of.
right. It is.
Honey,
an Entenmann's
hon, get the
coffee
crumb.
cake. The crumb cake or the butter loaf.
Oh,
was it?
I liked all of them.
Yeah. I still like Entenmann's. I'm sorry. I don't care what
friend-
anybody has to say.
My friend's father, he was an electrician. He worked at the Entenmann's factory in, I think it was like
Bayshore.
Brentwood or Bayshore.
Yeah.
He worked there for like 15 years. He was just doing electric. I don't know. It was like, how is there that much electric work going on forever?
A lot of baking going on.
You know, then Entenmann's sold. And they're actually, the Entenmann's you see now is owned by another company. So I think they've changed the recipe on a lot of their stuff.
Okay. Yeah. For the most
Yeah.
part, it's still pretty good.
It's not like where a Twinkie went really downhill. Like
Yeah.
a Twinkie used to be unbelievable. You used to have to crystallize sugar in it.
Yeah, they're not
now
good anymore.
Twinkies don't have it.
Yeah. That's
This
true.
is what the podcast should be. It's just be talking about memories with food
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
I'm starting to realize
It's
that
like the
now.
Seinfeld show about nothing.
Yeah, this is it. And honestly, I didn't even think I'm going to include this part now, so viewers can say that.
Tell us if you like this, or tell us if it's terrible.
Yeah, tell us if you like this piece. I don't remember any schoolwork to help my daughter with math, obviously, but I have a encyclopedic memory of Twinkies and ding dongs and devil dogs and like all the different foods that were back then, which were way better.
You do have a good memory. In fact, when I was out picking Sammy up at school and I was waiting for her to get out, I did fact check you on your claim about prosciutto di Parma not being allowed in the US, and you're absolutely correct. And you said it was because of a swine flu. And I was like, oh no, it was probably trichinosis. But no, you were right. There was
I said mad cow first.
Well, yeah. And then I was like, oh, that doesn't register. I think you've been watching too much Boston Legal.
Boston Legal.
There was an African swine flu, and it was the fear of that swine flu that prevented the import of prosciutto di Parma for 20 years, I believe. So you do have an ability to remember lots of useless information. In fact, I'm thinking maybe you should just go on Jeopardy. But,
no, it would only have to be a useless information category. That would be the only one I could answer.
Yeah. So moving on to the other recipe that we use olive oil for, that's unconventional,
Oh yeah,
is the Olivetto, the cocktail. So the Olivetto is a cocktail that was created at Marvel Bar in Minneapolis, which is actually no longer open.
And we lived 10 minutes away from Minneapolis for 3 years.
And
We lived in a place called Minnetonka.
yes, Minnetonka.
Minnetonka, and they have the moccasins.
They do. Although I don't know if that company is based there.
They're not, but they're still using the name.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Minnetonka just means big water
Oh.
because the lake there is so big.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Lake Minnetonka.
Yeah. Mini means water. Tonka means big.
Okay.
So, and then Minnesota, mini means water. Soda means cloudy water.
Lake Minnetonka in Minnesota is if you live on the lake, wherever you are, and the circumference is probably, it's massive. It's
is
probably
huge.
about 80 miles around.
huge.
It would take to do the whole drive. You, anywhere you live on that lake, it's very expensive real estate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's beautiful.
When I was in Minnesota, and I think I spoke about this in episode 1, is when I was doing carpentry contractor work, and the guy I was working for, many of the jobs were we were working at houses on the lake. So we went to this one place called Deep Haven. When you say Deep Haven, it just sounds rich, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like I live in Deep Haven. Of course I'm like you're not poor, you live in Deep Haven. And so like Deep Haven, this house was on Lake Minnetonka, it was a beautiful house. We did a job there. Then we went to probably the other side of the lake, which was really far, Minnetrista. Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
And that was another job we did on the lake. And these houses, every house we worked on that was on the lake, they were amazing.
Yeah. Yep. Beautiful.
I digress.
Yeah. So anyway, we were talking about the drink that was created at Marvel Bar, and a friend of mine there told me about the drink multiple times. Always wanted to get there to try it. We never actually did get there, but at some point I was like, I'm going to try and recreate this drink, this recipe for this Olivetto drink, because I was fascinated by it. I mean, the sound of an olive oil drink is, I don't know, it sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah.
Because I love olive oil. So we
It would be horrible if you did it with vegetable oil.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that, because you want to taste the olive oil in the drink. So we did make the Olivetto, tried to recreate the recipe that Marvel Bar had. It's up on the website if you want to check it out. But we do have that coming up in the video where we make the olive oil cake and we make the Olivetto cocktail.
Yeah, that was a fun video to make.
Well, what did you think of the drink?
Ooh,
Were you
got
surprised?
thunder now. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Ooh. That's nothing better than doing a podcast when there's thunder outside.
Yeah, especially with our dark and
it feels
somber
so. No, it just
setting.
it feels so like, I don't know. It's like what you picture. Like you picture like Stephen King. Like doing his podcast.
Right.
Whenever I think of New England like that, I always just think of like dark, rainy, or like shutters being blasted with like the big nor'easter from the sea.
Yeah.
The sea was angry that day. Like that. That's what I think of when I think of New England, which is not the right way to think of New England, because most people who live in New England they don't have, it's the wealthy people live on the sea. Like you move, you go to Maine, you go 100 miles inland, it's a lot cheaper to buy a house than it is to buy a house in Kennebunkport.
That's right.
Or Ogunquit, or any of those other very, very well-to-do areas.
Okay, so I think we can kind of wrap up our olive oil discussion.
Yeah.
And move.
Oh, and before you wrap it up, one more thing. The artwork you guys see for this podcast, that of Tara and myself, was from the olive oil taste test. If you're wondering what those 10 bowls of yellow liquid are in front of us, that was the extra virgin olive oil taste test. So I just pulled a still image from there. It's not even a photograph. I just took an image from the video. And it was just a cute photo, because I was like looking all confident and Tara was looking sarcastically at me. Like, what the hell is this guy talking about?
Yeah.
Which is typical.
Yeah. I'm usually in that state.
I think it sums up like our relationship in general. Yeah. All right. So let's we're gonna do viewer submitted questions, right?
Yes. So thank you for sticking with us for the past 45 minutes or so while we talked about olive oil. And thank you for submitting your questions to us. Please continue to do so. Send them to podcast@sipandfeast.com, and we will answer them at some point or another. So, Jim, one of the questions that we had was, what is your favorite fish sauce for pasta? Now, I'm not sure if it's just specific to fish or if it could be seafood sauce, but do you have a favorite sauce that contains fish or seafood that you would pair with pasta? And if so, what is it?
Okay, so that's very odd, because normally when people think of a pasta with seafood, they're probably most people are going to think of like something like a creamy sauce with like salmon.
Yeah.
That's predominantly what people will think of. And you can do that with Alfredo. You can add some salmon in there. You can do like a creamy dill sauce, add some salmon. But that's not what is my favorite. You know what I'm going to say, right?
I think I know what you're going to say, and I think I'm going to say the same thing.
It's a video I made, right?
It is.
Okay. Is it the eggplant one?
No. Is that your favorite?
Do you remember the swordfish eggplant one I made
Yes.
with pakiri? Or say
Yes.
say it how you're supposed to say it?
Pakari.
Pakiri. Yeah. So that was
That's probably not right either.
no. You're pretty good at saying it. That was so good. And guys, if you haven't seen that video, which I know you haven't seen it because it was a long time ago, and that we have so much videos and content like that you probably haven't seen. Like I did a whole series for the Feast of the Seven Fishes. So there's tons of seafood recipe videos we've done, but they never did well. So I kind of just stopped making videos.
That's right.
But that one was eggplant, pieces of swordfish. So this is a Sicilian pasta, and with that beautiful big, like, looks almost like rigatoni. It is.
Pakari.
And mint, a little bit of tomato. You could do basil too if you want. So delicious. But that is not what you were going to say, Tara. What is yours?
So I actually forgot about that recipe that you made with the swordfish, and I was really struggling to think of a fish pasta. So I was just going to answer my favorite with an overall seafood dish, and that's the squid ink.
Oh, yeah.
Squid ink pasta with like spicy calamari and shrimp, which you did do a video for that.
I did.
It also did not do
it
well.
Bombed. All my
Yeah.
videos. Those are before we ever got a video that actually got views.
Yeah. So I also think the black squid ink pasta turned people off, but you
That's like Indiana Jones. Yeah, they turned him off like that.
that recipe wasn't your idea. That was something that you had taken from one of our favorite restaurants.
Yeah.
Right. So the restaurant is the Trattoria. It's in St. James, and the chef there, Chef Gallagher, he makes an incredible squid ink pasta with like spicy calamari and shrimp. And does he put breadcrumbs on it?
Yeah, so a little bit of breadcrumbs.
Yeah. But that's one of the best. I know it's not answering the question because it's not a fish pasta, but that is probably my favorite seafood pasta.
It's amazing.
It's
And
amazing is an understatement.
So listen, guys. Again, we talked about promotion before and whatnot. I like to mention this place, and this guy doesn't need promotion. He's been kicking butt like in a restaurant space for 20 years now. They have a small place. It's been there forever. It's almost like an historic landmark now in St. James. Like everybody in this part of Long Island knows the place. He's not Italian. His last name is Gallagher. He's from Boston, I believe, right?
I think so. I know he wears a Boston
Red
Red Sox hat.
He's got the Red Sox hat on.
Yeah.
And we've never like he's come out and like he's like, how is it? Like we just tell him it's great.
And
like
he comes out to everybody.
Yeah.
He's an incredible, like if we ever had a restaurant,
Yeah.
I would want to replicate the way he runs his restaurant.
His restaurant is amazing. It's really farm to table. They have a lot of everything they get is ultra fresh. They're always changing the menu. It's an amazing experience, and it's evolved a little bit over the years. It used to be where you could bring your own everything. Now they do have a full liquor license and stuff. But this place has stood the test of time. I've only had one bad meal there, and he wasn't there that day. I'm just being honest. Like that was 100% the issue. But we've probably been there 50 times, and it is so hard now to be impressed with the stuff that these restaurants are putting out. I'm sorry, like the experience in general has gotten worse and worse. This restaurant, though, he's still doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you do live around here and you haven't been to this place, let me guys, I'm just going to tell you, there's a place called Osteria Umbra that is right in the area too. Osteria Umbra is an extremely expensive place. Tara and I have been there. It's a great place.
It is. The food is phenomenal.
The meal will cost you 2.5 times the price of Trattoria. And I'm just telling you simply from experience-wise, what I feel more comfortable in, what I like more. I like Trattoria more.
I do too. The Trattoria is small. It feels like home. It's not pretentious. Not that Osteria Umbra is pretentious, but Osteria Umbra, they have, the wood. Is it wood fire?
Osteria
coal,
Umbra,
right?
Osteria Umbra is. Osteria Umbra is a fancy place. I mean, they had Ralph Macchio there, Kevin James, like anybody who's like who grew up here.
Yeah.
They're in that restaurant taking a picture with the guy.
Yeah.
He's like a famous chef too, from Italy. He hasn't lived here very long.
Yeah.
I don't know his name offhand.
I believe it's Chef Pellegrini.
And it's a creation of a restaurateur owner, like who has really good restaurants. Like this place has a lot of money behind it, and it's a very, very. I'm not talking down about this place. It's an amazing experience.
Yeah, they have the Parmigiano Reggiano like wheels.
Yeah, they cook it in the wheel for you.
Which, if you're getting that type of meal, you're going to spend a lot of money. So it certainly is a special occasion type of place. But my preferred restaurant for a special occasion, like every year on my birthday, where do we go? We go to the Trattoria because it's consistent. It's always incredible. The menu's always changing. We never know what we're going to get. And honestly, we take our kids there too. And it's also their favorite place to go, aside from the sushi place that we also love.
Yeah, no, I mean, this place, look, I don't like to go to Italian restaurants because I feel that, like, I'm sorry, and you guys might say, Jim, you're being conceited. I feel that most places don't do as good of a job as I can do. I just don't. And we've been to all of them, guys. We've been to everyone. And I've been to everyone in the city too. So is Tara. And this is the thing about Trattoria, which allows them to excel. It's a tiny place, so he can change the menu all the time. Versus Osteria Umbra, it's much harder. And then, rattle off any other place you want. Now, listen, guys, it doesn't mean I don't like certain restaurants. I love going to a family style place like La Parma. That's an amazing meal.
Yeah.
But that menu hasn't changed in 40 years. It's the same stuff. Like you get your chicken scarparello, your chicken Chinese, which I've never had the chicken Chinese.
I haven't either.
And people keep asking us, can you make the chicken Chinese from La Parma? I don't even know what it is.
I was going to say, I don't even know what we'd have to go there and order it and see what it is. But I always did see it on the menu and always wondered what it was.
It's very hard to have a restaurant and keep it for longer than about 5 years. You will even see famous chefs on TV who close down their restaurants. Now, a lot of them are being controlled by a restaurant group. It's extremely difficult, tough to run. Brings back almost thinking about the email that I got the other day from the guy who told me, Jim, YouTube's going to run out. You should open a restaurant. And I was like, we have friends who are in the business. They almost went out of business these last few years.
Yeah.
So I have no interest in entering the restaurant space, nor do I even pretend to think that I could work in a place like that professionally.
Not at this point.
I'm old.
Yeah. So, okay. So we answered the question about our favorite fish sauce or / seafood sauce. We did get another question. Somebody had stated that their Nonna wasn't a baker, but she likes to bake, and there's tons of Italian desserts that she'd love to be able to make. Will we ever start a series on Italian desserts such as tiramisu, sfogliatelle, cannoli, zabaione, Easter rice pie, also known as pastiera?
Okay.
And the list goes on. So answer that question, please.
So do you have her name?
I don't.
Okay. I think we should start including the people's names too, because they probably want to hear their name, like that their question. I will just say simply, we have most of those that are on our website. The only video we made was for tiramisu, and the video didn't do well. So that kind of like made me not want to do it, though I think our video was better than any video that's on YouTube.
No, that is the answer I would say too. The tiramisu video didn't perform well, and as much as we'd like to do more videos,
and tiramisu is easy. It's not hard.
No, it's not.
And I encourage you guys use the recipe that's on our site. There's about 20 process shots. It really will show you exactly how to do it. It's a multi-step process, but it's easy. Yeah. What's more difficult is cannoli. So those like shooting those was a whole day it took us. So if I'm going to do a video for that, I mean, I don't know. And our cannoli it's probably one of the better recipes, instructions you're going to find online as well. We use the right ingredients for it. Marsala goes in the dough. You want the dark dough. You want it fried nice. You want a really crispy shell. The filling of a cannoli, it must have what, Tara?
Impastata.
Impastata. What is impastata?
It's super dry ricotta cheese.
Ultra dry.
I know I'm going to get flack for how I pronounce ricotta. It's
Yeah.
ricotta.
Yeah. Rigot. It's ultra dry. And you can't even if you take any other one and you try to do this, you will not be able to strip the same amount of water out of it.
You can.
If you do want to do it, use Galbani.
Well, yeah, and you can add mascarpone to it.
Not the same. So impastata comes from a place in Connecticut, and they pretty much sell it to most of the bakeries in New York, in Long Island. It comes in these big 5-gallon, massive.
Uncle Giuseppe's has it.
Massive pails.
Again, that's one of the ingredients that we need to go to Uncle Giuseppe's for because other places don't have it.
Yeah, but I think like between that, a little bit of cinnamon oil.
Yeah,
you get the right shell.
Yeah,
you're onto something here. You're getting close to the best Sicilian bakery for that.
So as much, I think we would like to do more videos for desserts, but it has to make sense for us to do them. And one thing I would really like to do for a podcast episode, maybe as we get closer to the holidays, is to have a full podcast episode devoted to talking about all the different cookies that Italian Americans make.
Yeah,
there's a lot specifically for Christmas.
It's an insane amount. We did so many desserts for 2022 going into the Christmas season. We probably did 20 desserts quickly for the site. We're going to do probably another 20 this year.
Yeah.
But videos, we don't know. We have Pastiera Napolitana on there, which is another amazing one, right, Tara? That's an easy one too, though it does take about 2 days to make it. The one we don't have is, and I always butcher when I say Sweetadelle, so Tara, do it.
Sfogliatelle.
Yeah, I'm never going to say that right, ever.
I'm probably not saying it perfectly either, but that is a difficult recipe as I understand it. I've never made it myself, and I know you haven't.
No.
So that's something that in order for us to put that up on our website, we're going to have to do extensive research, practice runs, etc.
What's the next question?
Okay, so we have one more question for today, and that is, so in one of the previous episodes, we talked about how we met. So I think that prompted this viewer or listener to ask the question, was food involved in your marriage proposal to me? Do you remember what? You don't remember?
No, I don't remember food being involved.
It wasn't.
Okay.
However, so I'm going to answer the question. Food was not involved in the proposal. However, after you had popped the question,
we went out to eat.
What did we eat?
Oh, we went out to eat. We got sushi.
That's right.
I'm not telling you guys not to have kids. Having kids is one of the best things you can ever do. I will tell you simply, when you don't have kids, you have all the time in the world. And when you have all the time in the world, like Tara and I had before we had kids, we used to go to a lot more restaurants and just remember that. And we'd come home and have like nothing to do.
Yeah.
Like we'd be like, oh, let's watch 24 for 4 hours.
Yeah.
You guys remember that show with Kiefer Sutherland?
It was also a lot cheaper. And yeah, of course we can still go out without our kids, but our kids love food and they love to go out to eat with us. So when we go out, we do take them. But yeah, no, the proposal did not involve food. We did go out and celebrate with food immediately following the proposal. And we celebrated with the two owners of what was our favorite sushi place.
Yes. That was the best place. It was the best place. We had this guy, there was this guy who used to sit there and he was like a businessman, like high up. He was going back and forth to Japan like every couple of weeks. He goes, this is the best place in America. You know, like he's like, I go to the best places in Japan. And it was this little hole in the wall.
Yeah. Kazu.
You'd go there. Kazu was the name of the place. You'd go there, and it's been replaced with some horrible place now. You would go there, and you would be in like the culinary adventure of your lifetime. If you had to wait, though, it would be a long time.
Yeah,
it was just him and his wife.
It was Kazu was the chef, and it was his wife.
I do not know how they did all that. I did not. How did they do that all by themselves?
They did it themselves. It was always an incredible experience going there.
Remember the butterfish? How good those were?
He would make butterfish. He would just make whatever he felt like making for us. And since he knew that we liked pretty much everything, he would just, send stuff our way. But
I got to tell a story about that place.
yeah.
Okay. So now I'm dating myself. So you guys are going to say, well, Jim, where was this? You're not going to, unless you're like from the area, this place hasn't been there for 15 years, right, Tara?
The last time we went there was shortly after Sammy was born, I think.
So it's been a long time.
Yeah.
About 14, 15 years.
Yeah.
So there was this like dive bar next to it. And I used to go there with my brother. Beckett's Pub. And we had some beers and we played Golden Tea. And then I said, let's go to Kazu. It's like right next door. So we go there and we ate a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Really good stuff. I had the most satisfied look on my face, as did my brother. I looked at him straight in the eyes.
Cool.
And I proposed to him. No. And I looked at him straight in the eyes.
Who, your brother or Kazu?
My brother.
Oh.
And I said, I said, do you know what I'm thinking? He said, I know exactly what you're thinking. I said, what am I thinking? He said, let's do it again. We told Kazu we'll take the same order again. He thought we were nuts. It was just as good the second time.
Don't drink and eat sushi. Go to McDonald's. It's much cheaper. No, but that place was truly a special place. Anytime we went there, it was special, but it was also special, the night that we got engaged. Kazu's wife, Tatsuko, she brought out plum wine at the end. She would do this every time because we pretty much closed down the place every time we went, but she brought out plum wine and, we toasted with them and yeah.
It was a different time. That place was their whole business was based on about 100 loyal customers that he knew was going to come there 2 to 3 times a month.
Yeah. And we sat there patiently because we knew all the food was worth waiting for.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes he would serve us fish that he actually caught himself that morning.
Yeah, he wasn't even allowed to do that. He would always say that. And it doesn't matter now. The place is long gone, but you're not allowed to catch your own fish and sell it at a restaurant.
Yeah.
He would go to the Fulton Market, though, all the time to get his fish. And that's where they have the bidding process. So you can get the best tuna, toro, all that stuff. And I don't know how he did it all, doing it. But anyway, that's where we went after I proposed to Tara.
Mm-hmm.
If you have more questions for the next episode, please send them to podcast@sipandfeast.com. We'll see you next time.